Hi guys, Richard from Digital Foundry here with a look at last gen performance on Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. So, does the arrival of Metal Gear Solid 5 finally close out the cross-generational era of console gaming? While the pre-launch focus on the game has centred almost exclusively on the current gen platforms, Hideo Kojima's swan song launches on 4 different console platforms, including the stalwart PS3 and Xbox 360, as seen here. Now that's a development and publishing choice made years ago based on genuine fears that gamers would not upgrade to the latest generation of hardware. Cross-gen production was commonplace as we transitioned across to PS4 and Xbox One, and for good reason. Game makers needed to hedge their bets financially when tens of millions of dollars were sunk into individual titles. With that economic outlook in mind, MGS5's Fox engine was designed around the need to support multiple levels of hardware spanning generations, a state of affairs that caused Kojima to explain in advance that the game may look a little behind efforts from competing studios, but the end result is actually in line with our expectations. Both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One hand in a highly polished, beautiful presentation, while perhaps unsurprisingly their last-gen counterparts fall a little short. On the one hand, some might say that the fact that these versions exist at all in a feature-complete playable state is a bit of a miracle, but on the other, it's clear that Xbox 360 and PS3 are being dragged kicking and screaming to their limits. For the most part, the reduction in quality is well judged. Resolution drops to something in the region of 992 by 720 on both older consoles, with a pretty rough looking FXAA anti-aliasing implementation in place. In turn, this is matched by pared back textures, normal maps and effects work. However, one of the most noticeable differences comes in level of detail scaling, which sees far more aggressive popping manifest on the older platforms, a key reason why the Phantom Pain holds up a lot better in still screenshots. So what seems evident is that the transition from the sampler level of MGS5, Ground Zeroes, to the full game sees the engine stressed more comprehensively, with an inevitable impact on frame rate, and from here the feel of the gameplay itself. Performance was somewhat wobbly to begin with on Ground Zeroes on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, with 20 FPS drops in cutscenes and gameplay fairly commonplace. But the push to a larger, more ambitious open world in the full game seems to make the hit to performance a touch more impactful. The Phantom Pain aims for 30 FPS on both last-gen consoles, but it's clearly Xbox 360 that takes point in like-for-like scenes. However, outside in the open world, the difference is harder to track, and it's safe to say that the overall turnout hardly flatters either console. A state of affairs we need to weigh up against the ambition in Kojima Productions' design, where current-gen rendering techniques battle hard to operate on 10-year-old hardware. Performance in action scenes wobbles in the mid-20s, but it's the frame times that are actually more enlightening. From frame to frame, we jump between images on screen persisting at either 33 milliseconds or 50 milliseconds, producing a very noticeable stuttering effect. The developers faced a tough choice here: lock to vertical refresh with highly variable performance, as we see here, or adopt the adaptive VSync approach, which would have seen the game accompanied by an almost constant tearing. But it would have made for a slightly more responsive game. It's a tough choice, and we're glad we didn't have to make it. So it may well be the case that Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain is the last true cross-gen AAA title. Sure, we can expect cash cows like FIFA and Call of Duty to continue to appear on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 for at least another year, but there is a fundamental difference between releases like those and The Phantom Pain, namely that very different engines are in play between one generation and the next, while here the same Fox engine code powers all versions of Metal Gear Solid 5. So with all due caveats in place, The Phantom Pain on last gen is a remarkable example of raw technological ambition. The open world, mission structure and feature set are all present and correct. It's one of the very few last gen games to operate with the physically based lighting technology used so prolifically in the current gen rendering era, and it works. Despite its performance shortcomings, something that might not be an issue for you if you could adapt to Metal Gear Solid 4's lackluster variable update, as a package it remains an event, the likes of which PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 haven't seen for a long time. Some might even suggest that this could well be the last hurrah for those platforms, and by extension it may well be the case that the need to support last gen paved the way for the virtually flawless 60 FPS gameplay seen on PS4 and Xbox One. With last gen as the low spec base platform, the new consoles had the graphical capabilities, processing power and memory to spare in aiming for the top level of performance, while at the same time significantly improving overall image quality in all visual areas. It's a fascinating result overall. At once Metal Gear Solid 5 pushes last gen boundaries, but at the same time comparisons with the latest consoles are hardly flattering. For some, the last big hurrah for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 may well be the catalyst that inspires a next gen upgrade. So that's all we've got for you for now. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the vid and subscribe for more console and PC tech analysis, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.